Hello and welcome to the first training tape for basketball officials for the 2023-2024 season from the Wisconsin Officials Association Alliance. Basketball season is truly in full swing now, with games starting pretty much in about a week at the time of this recording. We hope that these videos help you as basketball officials gain knowledge, get better, and improve as the season goes on. We would like to start off the bat with some disclaimers before we get truly into the video. This training tape is a production of the Wisconsin Officials Association Alliance. This training does not reflect any instruction that is specifically given by the WIAA or the NFHS. It does not go against them in any way. It is purely just some additional information that is being provided to you from officials. This training tape is for 3-person officiating crews at the high school level, so we're looking at mostly varsity basketball officials here. You may see clips used from college basketball games or college basketball courts, but please keep in mind that everything goes back to NFHS 3-person officiating crews and mechanics. And no video is ever meant to call out or degrade players, coaches, officials, or teams in any way. We are truly using these for learning purposes only. The WOAA is a alliance within Wisconsin that consists of 4 officials associations. And if you would like to become a member of the Wisconsin Officials Association Alliance, all you have to do is join one of the 4 associations within the alliance. You can see the contacts there on the screen for your general area. The WOAA provides access to a huddle account in which you have full exchange rights. You can watch video on it. You can create clips. It is a unique resource for you to use. You will receive weekly rules videos that are not accessible to the public, and those cover more specific plays submitted to me as the training coordinator. And you also get access to quizzes that test your rules knowledge and mechanics knowledge as well. If you would like to join any of the associations, you should contact the respective one you are interested in joining on the screen. If you are interested in joining the Arrowhead Officials Association, which is mainly the Hudson area, I would recommend contacting Tim Whitaker. His email is on the top left there. If you are more in the Eau Claire area or even the Superior area, I would recommend contacting Cameron Bump. His email is listed on the top right of the screen. If you are southern Wisconsin, so anywhere from Platteville area over to the Milwaukee area, I would recommend joining the Wisconsin River Officials Association, and that contact is Brian Kenny. That association is exclusively online, so really it works for you in any geographical areas. There are no in-person meetings required. And lastly, if you are of the Central Wisconsin Officials Association, you would want to contact Nick Pilsner. That is out of the Wausau area. The WOAA covers both football and basketball, and we have coach accounts. Coach accounts give access to coaches everything that the officials will get, with the exception of the huddle account. Coaches will not get access to the huddle account with all the game film, but will receive the weekly rules videos, quizzes, and be able to see these videos here, which are accessible to the public. This video in particular is going to cover more things for officials than it is for coaches, but you will find that the quizzes and rules videos that you get weekly can be just as beneficial for coaches as they are to officials. And my name is Cade Murray. I am the officials training coordinator for the Wisconsin Officials Association Alliance, and you are free to contact me with any questions that you may have with my email that is listed there on the screen. Okay, so our first topic that we're going to cover, like we do in the first training tape for any sport, is the WIAA and NFHS rules, mechanics, and procedural changes. Please note that Wisconsin does not follow all federation guidelines. Wisconsin plays halves, not quarters, so any rule changes relating to the quarters will not be covered in this video. Additionally, Wisconsin does not use a shot clock, so any changes relating to the shot clock will not be covered in this video. Wisconsin also traditionally did a few different procedural things, which have been changed this year as well, and do not change in any other state. So as you can see on the screen here, there are a lot of bullet points here, and these cover all the rule changes for the 2023-2024 season. Feel free to screenshot this, share this with your crew, your associations. Hopefully this helps you out. I have them written as they are in the rule book, and then I have a simplified version that will help you understand them better, hopefully. We will go into more depth on the next slide about the throw-in changes. So, starting with 3, 4, 5, clarifies that teammates must wear light-colored uniform bottoms but can wear multiple styles. That's about as simple as it gets. Basically, all teammates must wear the same color shorts or any uniform bottoms across the team. Not one can have black and the other red. They must all be the same. 3, 5, 6, a little bit bigger rule that hopefully will end a few battles with officials in the undershirts that seems to be never ending. This allows undershirts worn under visiting team jerseys to be black or the single solid color similar to the torso of the jersey. All teammates wearing undershirts must wear the same solid color. Simplified, no changes for home teams. They still must wear white undershirts. The visiting team needs to wear either the same color of the jersey or black. So if we have red jerseys, they can wear red or black. If we have blue jerseys, blue or black. Purple jerseys, purple or black, and so on. Please note that all teammates must still wear the same color. So if we have red jerseys, we cannot have 2 teammates with red undershirts and 3 teammates with black undershirts. We must have the same solid color undershirt across the entire team. Coaches, if you're watching this video, please make sure your athletes are aware of this so officials do not need to make any procedural changes or issues in pregame or especially during the game with this rule. Our throw-in changes. So there were a lot of rule numbers that were affected by this rule change, so I did not list them here. They are on the first page of the NFHS basketball rules book. This establishes 4 throw-in spots, the nearest 28-foot mark along each sideline, or the nearest 3 foot outside the lane line on the end line mark. When a team is regaining team control in its front court due to a violation, common foul prior to the bonus, or other stoppages in play other than an out-of-bounds violation. Simplified, if we're putting the ball in the front court, it's going to go to one of those 4 spots unless the throw-in is for an out-of-bounds violation. That's the only time we will not. Again, we will go into more depth on the next slide. 766, another fairly major rule change that we have this year, allows the official administering a throw-in to the wrong team to correct the mistake before the first dead ball after the ball becomes live unless there's a change of possession. Simplified, if you give the ball to the wrong team on a throw-in, you can correct it before the next stoppage of play. Remember, with all correctable errors, you cannot put time back on the clock. This was an error made in a WIAA state tournament game a few years ago. This is something that is not able to be done. You will have coaches asking you to do this when this happens. It does not matter. You cannot change the time on the clock. 933 establishes that a player may step out of bounds without penalty unless they are the first player to touch the ball after returning to the court or if they left the court to avoid a violation. Simplified, if a player goes out of bounds on their own and they don't gain an advantage, we don't need to give them a violation or a penalty. Simply play on. If they are going out of bounds to, say, try and dodge a screen, that would be an example of a violation and it would result in a turnover. And this is a new change to Wisconsin. This was not in the rules book and it was not on the rules video for the WIAA. The pregame now mirrors the NFHS mechanics manual. The referee will check the book at 12 minutes on the clock, and then at 10 minutes on the clock, all 3 officials will meet with the captains and the head coach from both teams at the same time at the scores table, and the R will facilitate. So we have moved the captain's meeting from half court to the score table, and we've added the coaches with it as well. This means you do not need to go over and shake the coach's hands with 2 minutes on the warm-up clock. You simply take care of everything at 10 on the clock, and then you are good to go, and you may leave the court when both teams have left them for warm-ups. Okay, so the big thing that seems to be sort of a big deal for the rule changes this year are our throw-in spots, the new thing that we have to the high school game this year. If you are a collegiate official, this is the same exact rule. So if you already know this rule, you don't need to spend a ton of time on it. The key is to not overthink this. This is really simple. I think a lot of people are trying to make it a little bit bigger deal than what it is. But it really is quite simple when we can dumb it down to a few things. The new throw-in spots do not matter when we have a backcourt throw-in. So if we are putting the ball into play and it's in the backcourt, this does not matter. We do not change anything from what we did. Even if you go, say, from the front court, so we have a travel in the front court to the back court, it does not matter. We do not need to use those spots. You use the new throw-in spots for all stoppages of play in the front court, and you will resume in the front court. So this includes your held balls, your timeouts, your kickball violations, and your officials' timeouts. All those stoppages of play, you are going to one of those 4 spots. This includes all fouls that resume play, again, in the front court. You will go to one of these 4 spots. The only exception for this ever is out of bounds. That is normal. So wherever the ball went out of bounds, that's where we're putting the ball back in. Additionally, if a team is gaining possession in the new front court, you still use the spots and you still use the triangle that is listed on the screen there. Your most common example is going to be a backcourt violation. If you have a backcourt violation, you put it into the nearest 28-foot mark. So I hope, again, you can screenshot this, use this however you would like. This hopefully kind of dumps it down for you. This isn't too complicated if we kind of just slow down, read the rule a little bit, and understand that if we're ever going to put ball in play in the front court, we're going to be putting it at one of those 4 spots unless it is out of bounds. You will see perhaps in some courts, this is a good example that I like to use. The Loris Duhawks Collegiate Court is very well marked. You will see there are multiple tick marks on the floor. So you see on the top left there is an example of a coaching a coaching box mark, and that is to be used as your 28-foot mark. You will see directly across from there on the right side is a small little square. Schools may use that to indicate a 28-foot mark. If you are a coach watching this and you would like something put in your floor like that, that is absolutely okay, and we would recommend putting that there for the officials' guidance. And then on the end lines, there are 2 little tick marks kind of for your reference. That is about where you would put the ball in for a throw-in on the end line. I would guess that most high school courts are not going to have those tick marks in there. You might get high school courts that have the coaching box mark on either side, and that'll probably be your most common example of having it. Otherwise, you'll kind of have to look across the court to see where to put the ball into play. But as far as having those end line marks, I would not count on having those at very many of your schools. But again, I hope this helps you kind of put a visual as to where you're going to be putting the ball in for throw-ins. Our next topic that we're going to look at are the WIAA and NFHS points of emphasis. It'll be very similar to what we just covered here on our rule changes. We have 4 points of emphasis this year. I'm going to cover 3 on this slide. Our first one, which seems again to be a repeating offender yearly, are uniforms, equipment, and apparel. This is things where you see them posted on Facebook. You see opposite colored undershirts on jerseys not properly enforced. Don't be that official that happens to. Take care of things when you see it. We definitely don't want to be out there. I think the last thing anyone wants to be is uniform police, but it's something that we have to do. And you do these with the obvious things like jewelry. If you see earrings in, you're going to ask the players to take them out. You see them have a chain on, you want to ask them to take it off. Illegal undershirts, want to make sure that they're all the same color and that they're legal colors. What you don't want to do is get a tape measure out and start measuring logos and numbers on players' uniforms. If you have concerns about that, I would contact the school administrator, the WIAA, and deal with it through that route. Definitely don't be the official out there with the tape measure measuring logos and numbers. That's just not something that we need to be doing. Bench decorum. This is, again, another repeat offender that we seem to have year after year and seems to be a hot topic after the NCAA Women's Championship games. Don't allow personal comments from coaches. This is a rule of thumb that we like to use. If they ever say things like, you have been terrible, you suck, we recommend not going with a warning there and escalating right to the technical foul, because those are personal attacks on your integrity, which is not acceptable at any level especially on a high school court. These are extensions of the classroom. That is not something that needs to be said in a high school setting. Comments such as, that's a bad call or that is terrible, where they're more going after a decision or a ruling rather than you as an official, should be addressed, and if continued, a warning and then a technical. Those are the ones where we want to try and work with coaches as much as we can to try and get them to die down a little bit and not, escalate right to a technical foul in those situations. Don't let coaches get away with addressable actions because you fear a bad ranking. If you give a coach a technical foul, fill out the loss of coaching box form on the WIAA website, and they will know that, and especially if there is a ranking in there, they will definitely take that into consideration. This is something that I think we see a lot of coaches getting, away with actions that we can't believe as officials, but I do believe in Wisconsin is because we have the belief that our ranking system is very much weighed on our postseason assignments. Whether that is true or not, I cannot say. And what I just want to tell you is that you should not feel like you cannot address a coach because you fear a ranking from a postseason assignment. The WIAA, I know for a fact, will always have your back in these situations, and the schools for the most part will too. So don't let coaches, assistant coaches, players treat you unfairly. You are taking time out of your night to go and officiate and help your communities and the kids, and that is not something that you should have to deal with. So take care of that action when you can. Of course, and I can't stress this enough, try and work with coaches the best you can, especially on those comments that are a little numbed down compared to, the ones that are personal attacks. I want to definitely encourage you to be good communicators with coaches, but at the same time, we should not have to put up with unsporting behavior. That is not something that should come with our job as officials. And lastly, on that bullet point, similar actions from assistant coaches should not be tolerated at any time. They do not get the leash that head coaches do hearsay. You hear them, kind of chirping at you or your partners. Try and go through the head coach and ask them to address it first before you take matters in your own hands. Oftentimes, head coaches will address it right away and you won't have to worry about it anymore. Our third point of emphasis are throw-ins, proper locations. See the rule change slide that I just went over for further details on that. Our biggest one, in my opinion, and the WOAA's opinion, are the end of game procedures. It's important that officials get end of game procedures correctly. In close game situations, these are some good examples. Be aware of the bonus, get your shooters. Last thing you want to do is in a critical situation, not get the right shooter on a bonus situation, and then you have the wrong shooter shooting free throws. Something that partners can come in and take care of. Officials need to have eyes on the clock for proper starts and stops. This is something you should have all the time, but especially in end-of-game situations, it's critical that we have this. Officials far away from the throw-in or not involved immediately should cover this. So, for example, in a press situation, the lead should be the primary for the clock. They should be the ones who see that it starts on time, and then we don't have any issues, and they can go back to their matchups. That's things that put crews above other crews is when they get things like this correct. Be aware of timeouts. Use your basketball IQ as to know when a coach is going to call a timeout so you can grant it correctly. Getting the right time on the clock. Make sure that you are aware of how many coaches have what for timeouts. All those things are extremely important in end-of-game procedures. And remember that during timeouts, especially in end-of-game situations, it's good to get together and cover last-second shot responsibilities and other important matters relevant to the game. If you have an end-of-the-game last-second shot, it's important to be emphatic to signal good or no good on a try when time expires. If the try will be good, wave it off right away before the ball even goes in. If the try is good and it goes in and still in flight when the horn goes off, there needs to be a signal, whether that's basket good or a good 3-point signal. I was not able to find a ton of video on this, so I apologize, but I do have a few video clip examples for you. So this first play that we're going to look at, we see the time on the clock, 2.5 seconds. The center official is responsible for the last second shot. And this is a situation where even though everyone in the gym most likely knows that it's good, the horn goes off while the ball is still going through the net. So that is one where we at least need to get a hand up and signal to the table that shot is good. We see zero communication from the center official in this situation about if that basket is good, and that can leave the score table in doubts. Then you go into halftime and you have coaches complaining about the score because there maybe wasn't 2 points put on the board. You cannot take these things for granted. You need to make sure that you give proper signals in these certain situations. Again, note the time on the clock. We have the center official who is over here opposite that is responsible, and we're going to see the ball go in. Last second shot opportunity that was not off. In this situation, we don't need to be as emphatic because most players aren't going to make a 3/4 court shot, but he still stops and signals that it's no good before the ball even gets close to the ring, so that if it were to say go in, there is no doubt that it was or was not good. He signals that right away, and they know it is not good. Our last topic that we're going to talk about today are what the WOAA has in focus for this year, and that is mechanics and positioning. So, oftentimes with this, we are seeing a lack of officials having good positioning, good mechanics, good reporting, and free throw positioning. This is something that we can control. We cannot control block charge situations. We cannot control coaches. But what we can control is how we officiate and how we look while we officiate. This is something that is extremely important for you as officials to get right. And I cannot stress this enough, that if we have good positioning and mechanics collectively as an alliance, as a state, as a nation, we are going to look better as officials. So let's take a look at a variety of clips here to kind of give some feedback about what's good, what's bad, or excuse me, not what's bad, but what needs to be improved. So basic positioning. This is not a video clip, but this is just a good screenshot of how we want our basic positioning to look. We see a lot of trails up by the division line. Trail means trail, and you trail the closest player. So in this situation where there's a matchup between white number 10 and black number 12, he's in between that. He can see the space between those players, and he can officiate that matchup competitively. The center should be on the court or slightly off of it, and their home base is free throw line extended, in which they are right here and able to officiate the players in the primary. And the lead is where they are supposed to be, right with the lane line about as wide as the widest player on their side. This is important to widen their vision, and they can see more defenders, more space in front of them. So shifting gears from positioning to some reporting aspects. So as we watch this play, we're going to have a foul on a rebound, and the official is going to make a call right here, and we are going to be going the other way. Some important things to consider here. One, be a little bit more patient with your mechanics if you can be in these situations. We see that this official very quickly puts a fist up and points a direction, and he's reported within 2 seconds of calling that foul. We can slow down a little bit in these situations. We don't have to be super quick. I don't believe that going quicker makes us look any better. I think if you slow down as an official, you're often going to find that you look a little bit better yourself. And then the second is, get up into the reporting area a little bit more. We see that the official here is just kind of hugging the end line. He comes up really quickly and gives a really quick signal. Get up into the reporting area a little bit more. Show, the number a little bit more visibly with the score table. Make your signal, point, and then go back if you're going to be staying into the backcourt. Otherwise, if you're going to be switching into the new front court as the new lead, get up into the reporting area, make your signal, and then get to your position accordingly. So on this play here, we have a lot going on. There's a press situation, and we have a double whistle between the lead and the trail. A couple things that I want to highlight with this play in particular. First off, the lead really in this situation with the transition should not have really eyes on this play. They want to be more down with the players that are there. So right here, if I pause the video, we want to have eyes on these players over here, not on the ball. Leave that to the trail's responsibility. Center can certainly help as well. We have the double whistle, and that's fine. The official goes over, I believe, has a good signal reporting. I think he reports phenomenally in this situation, but then he goes back to opposite table. In this particular situation, the center and the trail should switch because they are in the front court, so they should go to table side. They should not be going opposite table. There is no kind of, it appears to be kind of like almost like a three-way switch where the lead was going to go up to be the trail, and then the center was going to be the lead, and then the trail was going to be the new center. Simply all we need to do here is swap the center and the trail. So this play is a little bit of a funky one, and we have the ball go off the bottom of the backboard, hit a player, out of bounds. There's a lot of things going on. Whenever we have situations like this, the first thing we always want to do, we know the ball is going to be out of bounds, open hand. Get an open hand up before we do anything. We see the official kind of almost put his hand up, but then he brings it right back down, and then he gives a signal that kind of indicates that he is confused or he's not totally sure what the call was. In these situations, we want to put an open hand up, and we want to go to our partner and ask for help in the situation if we have a question on the play. And then once you get the information from your partner, you can point accordingly where you're going to be going for the direction from the out of bounds violation. When we give these signals where we give kind of like a shoulder shrug or an I don't know, that can really alter our perception as officials and not something that we necessarily want to portray for ourselves. If we put the open hand up and we're not sure, at least we still portray a little bit of confidence there. We go to our official, we get the help, and we point, and it looks very neat and professional, and that's something that we want to mirror as officials. Okay, shifting more now to the positioning aspect of things, I just want to take a look at where we are at before we do anything. We see this is right off the bat in the game, so there's still probably some transition happening here into our spots, but a few things that I want to note. One is a trail, we need to be down more. Our trail home base should be about the 28-foot mark, and we see that the trail is at the division line. We want to make sure we hustle to our spots and get in a good position to officiate. Center should be free throw line extended on the court. We see that the center is way down in this situation, and being lower here doesn't really help us all that much. If we're at the free throw line extended, then we're able to move one way or another from there to get better angles. But if we have to move up as the center, then we have to go quite a bit far. We have moving eyes, and that's not something we want to have when we officiate. As we play this clip a little bit more, we see that the trail actually kind of stays at the division line, and that is not something that we want to see from trails. Trails need to be down more towards the 28-foot mark in this situation. Right about here where we pause the video, we want the trail to be right at the 28-foot mark so that they can see that screen and in between those two players for that competitive matchup. I like where the lead is positioned. I think she does a good job of opening up as the play sort of comes towards her. Again, I would like to see the center a little bit more free throw line extended on the court in this situation. That way, when the shot goes up, they can step up and they can see the rebounding action a lot better than from where they are closer underneath the free throw line extended. This situation, we have the center that's a little high, and again, we have the trail here at the division line. Again, we want to, as a trail, get down, see between the matchups, right where the trail is at in that situation, right here. The trail cannot see as well between the two players, and that puts us in bad positioning. The center is actually right about where we would want the trail to be. So we want the center to be down a little bit closer to where the coach is there on the sideline so that they can see that screen action a little bit better in this particular circumstance. And as the lead, we want to be farther out as wide as the widest player so that we can see all the action clearly within the lane and we don't have any closed vision, especially if a play happens at around the 15-foot mark or closer to the three-point line. On this situation, I just want to identify the center official here. We see that he is way off of the court, and then we have to look really far away as an official. We can be on the court right now, and we will be in really good position, especially if that rebound goes up. As you can see, that shot goes up there. The center official does not have very good eyes on the rebounding action right here because they're essentially straight lining off the court. However, if they are more up here and closing down on the play, they can see this action beautifully, and the lead has help here. So as a center official, work more onto the court, and then you'll be able to see this rebounding action a lot better. Again, as a trail, we're actually working away from the play in this case off of a rotation. We want to stay, again, at the furthest in this situation, the volleyball line extended here, not up towards the division line. This essentially takes the trail almost out of everything on this play, and that's not something that we want to have happen. We want to make sure that the trail official is down, closing in on the rebounding action. Again, the center official could be a step lower here, but she does have good eyes on the play, and she's able to assist in this rebounding action. Lastly, just as a visual perception here, especially with free throws, it's important that we have good coverage. We want to make sure, this is the first shot of a 2-shot free throw, but on the second shot of a free throw, we want the lead to be right about here, where her right shoulder is, so that she can see things on the end line. As the trail, we want to be on the 28-foot mark, again, right next to the coaching box area, so that we can see that rebounding action and step in there to help. As a center official, you ideally want to be more around here where I'm marking. This allows you to see this player, see this player, see this player, and see the shooter and the line. From this action right here, we can see this player and this player for sure. It might be a little bit tough to see this player right here. That might be a little bit difficult, but we for sure cannot see the line right here. And that's something that is not good if we can't see if they perhaps go over the line. Lastly, as a visual perception, we want to be counting with that silent count close fist for the free throw violation. Standing there behind our back with our hands behind our back is more something we want to see when we are stationed for timeouts. So I just want to highlight this play as a whole. This is a really good example by all of these officials at their positioning. The trail is in a good home base and the center is in a good home base. You can see that they are officiating the space between the players so that they can see those matchups well. And then you see the center actually move a little bit to improve their angle. That's the type of movement we want to see from the center, is not, moving way up towards the top of the key or way down towards the second lane tick mark. Right about free throw line extended and taking a step or two just to see the space between the players is what we want to see out of center officials. We see the lead even initiate a rotation here and then stop, officiate the play, and go back. This is just a really good job by this crew of their positioning and seeing this play and covering this play very, very well. So watching this play again, we see that there's an initial rotation and the new trail doesn't move out right away. They see the matchup the whole way through, and then they get into trail to officiate between, again, the players so that they can see any potential illegal contact there. This is a great example of that. And then you see that they come in, there's a traveling violation. He stops the clock. He comes in with a strong travel signal, directional, of which way the ball is going and pointing where the ball is going to be taken out of bounds, and then the lead mirrors that. This is overall just a really nice job by the trail here of having good eyes on plays, positioning, and then coming in with strong mechanics and cleaning up a play here early in this game. This play we're highlighting the center official here, and this is just a really good job of, as a center, not in great position to see a play where he's at, and he does a good job of getting out and seeing in between the players to be able to officiate that matchup. I do like that he goes high here because he doesn't have any players in that area. If he goes low, then he potentially gets in the way of a pass to that player in the corner. So I like that he goes high here. He gets in between the players again to officiate that matchup, and then he has a good angle there to be able to follow his primary ball handler and defender to the rim, and then he gets assistance a little bit from the lead as he comes through to see that the lead sees that his end line is threatened, gets his eyes there, makes a good out of bounds call. Again, overall nice job by the lead and especially the center in this case to have good job of getting positioning to make sure that they can cover plays effectively. Thank you for watching the first training tape for the Wisconsin Officials Association Alliance basketball officials. Training tape number 2 will be released sometime in December, and we wish you the best of luck as the basketball season starts up.